welcome back to Champion the Passion, a weekly pro wrestling podcast where we inspire you to champion your passions and celebrate the joy in what you love. I'm your host. My name is Victoria Daisy, and today we're going to be recapping everything that happened last night on NXT. But before we dive deeper, don't forget to leave a 5-star review if you enjoyed. Follow me at It's Victoria Daisy across all social platforms and follow Champion the Passion across all streaming platforms. But let's dive right into the opening segment with Fatal Influence. So Jacy Jayne got on the mic to cut a great promo about how she beat the odds at Evolution, and she's looking to do the same at Slammiversary to hopefully beat Masha Slamovich for the TNA Knockouts Championship. Now, this match happening at Slammiversary between Masha and Jacy is a winner takes all match. So one of them will be walking out as not only the TNA Knockouts champion, but the NXT Women's Champion. So it's going to be very interesting. We're going to have a double champ by next week, and I'm really curious to see who ends up winning. But obviously, Jacy was talking a bunch of crap, and obviously she summoned Masha. So Masha Slamovich, again, the TNA Knockouts champion, did come out, and she got on the mic to let everyone know that she's going to make history by taking both titles, blah, blah, blah. It was this whole thing. And then they kept going back and forth, threatening each other, kind of just saying the whole same song and dance. And then Sol Ruka and Zarya came out, and Sol came out to remind everyone that she's also a double champ, because obviously she's the NXT Women's North American Champion and the Speed Women's Champion. I believe that's what the title's called. But for WWE Speed, she's the women's champion for that division. And, she said that she bets her money on Masha. And of course, that led to the women getting very heated, as women do. And then they all broke out into a big brawl. And that was honestly kind of the end of it. I wish there was a little bit more substance in the promo and in the segment as a whole. I still enjoyed it, but I was just looking for a little bit more of diversity in what they were saying, because they were kind of just repeating each other, to be quite honest, and I didn't like it terribly much. But I digress. Let's move on to the first match of the night. We had Mike Santana, Joe Hendry, and Trick Williams teaming together to face Dark State. I was so happy to see Dark State back. So this was a great match. And, there were so many great spots that were epic. And there were so many cool moments, and getting to have a lineup in this match like we did. I mean, first of all, Dark State is stacked. We have the TNA World Champion in Trick Williams, and then Joe Hendry and Mike Santana, two of the greatest in TNA. And so it was just seeing that all-star lineup in this match was so epic. I don't know, I just really loved it. And then for Dark State, it was so awesome to have them back. They were really hot off the press when they first debuted, and then they kind of went silent a little bit. They went over to TNA and did some stuff, and now they're back and they're in this match. And so I thought that as far as the match goes, for the time that they did have, it was utilized well. And the reason I say the time they did have is because the match ended up getting interfered by the System, which is a faction from TNA. It has what's his name? Fandango, obviously. I can't remember his TNA name. And then what's his name? I think he was Curtis Axel in WWE, right? Don't quote me on that. And then the other dude, no clue who he is, but whatever. It was a cool moment to see them come out, and, they absolutely cleaned house. It was crazy. So now I'm looking forward to see kind of where we go from here. I feel like there's a lot of people mixed in this storyline now. It really started with, Joe Hendry and Trick, and then it kind of just expanded to Mike Santana and then everyone else. So really intrigued to see how we move forward with this, and I'm really looking forward to next week. All right, the next match we had was for the Evolve Women's Championship. Callie Armstrong defending against Carmen Petrovic. Now, this was actually my first time watching Callie in the ring, and I was pleasantly surprised. I knew that Callie was champion. I had seen a picture of her, but I had never watched her presentation. I didn't know what her gear looked like, what her entrance was like, how she moved in the ring. And I just have to say, it was awesome. I mean, first of all, just by looks, she looks like a superstar. Then to her entrance, I felt like her entrance was very unique. She added her own little unique flair to it. I've never seen anyone do an entrance quite like how she does her entrance, and I loved it. It was very her, and it was great. And then as far as in-ring, I thought she moved around the ring really well. She was very clean, very sharp, and she very much dominated that match. And I thought her and Carmen worked really well together, and I was just really impressed. And, last week I talked about how I guys saw Jackson Drake, which is the men's Evolve champion, for the first time, and I was really pleasantly surprised by his in-ring work. And then now to see Callie, WWE, huge props to you guys. You guys picked great inaugural champions. But yeah, I loved the match for the time again that we had, because then Jordynne Grace came out and interfered in the match. And this girl was on a rampage. She came out and got on the mic immediately and called out Blake Monroe, because obviously of all the drama that happened this past weekend at Evolution, obviously Blake turned heel, and her and Jordan are no longer friends. So, it's very interesting. But then Blake didn't end up coming out. A video played on the screen, and it was obviously in the theme, the little Sabrina Carpenter nanny theme that we love. And it was so much fun. I love how creative they've been with these video vignettes, and I really, really loved them. And then Blake in the video invited Jordan to sit ringside for her match next week on NXT. It's going to be her NXT singles debut. She will be fighting, I don't remember who she's wrestling. Wait, it's coming to me, guys. Hold on. It is somewhere in my brain. Wait, it's bothering me that I can't remember who. I'm going to look this up because it's really bothering me. I was really trying to have a little fun moment and just remember who she was facing, but now I don't remember. So let's see who she's going to be facing next week. It's actually at the tip of my tongue, and I actually cannot there we go. Ren Sinclair from the NQCC. Okay, so we will have Blake Monroe versus Ren Sinclair next week, hopefully with Jordynne Grace on the sidelines. And, Jordan got pissed about that and ended up laying out Stevie Turner and Mr. Stone. So I thought that was pure chaos, but I loved it. Then we had a family business triple threat match. So we had Channing Stacks Lorenzo versus Luca Crucifino versus Tony D'Angelo. Now, this was an absolutely fantastic match. I mean, after all the drama that the D'Angelo family has been unfolding with, I mean, it was so awesome to see them all in one ring, just going all out it, fighting it out. And, they were very vicious. They were on a mission. I mean, at one point, Tony ran Stacks through a wall, slammed Luca through a commentary table. I mean, it was absolute chaos, and I thought all of them performed just amazingly and worked so well together. And, I was honestly on the edge of my seat the entire time because I was just waiting to see who was going to win. I was so excited. But then in the end, Tony D'Angelo won, and he had a great finish. It was chef's kiss. And after the match, something very interesting happened because Tony looked emotional right after the match. And, he left his hat, his iconic hat that he wears, on the ring post, which I thought was interesting, and he walked away from it. And he kind of just turned around looking at everybody and almost taking it all in. And this match really did feel like the end of the D'Angelo family. This was the last thing that they needed to do to just hash it out. And obviously the Don stays on top. And even Corey Graves mentioned on commentary, he said, quote, "This is a fresh start and a new beginning for Tony D'Angelo." So my question is he finally getting called up? I don't believe he has any more purpose to serve in NXT. The D'Angelo family was on an absolute generational run, but they're now not together anymore, and everyone has gone their separate ways, and they've buried the hatchet at this point. They've put it to rest. There's nothing else to do for him. And as a faction, he's been there for years now, and this is a call-up we've wanted for years, and I think now it's finally the time it's going to happen. Obviously we saw the huge call-up with Braun Breaker, and look at him now. And so I hope that he gets that caliber of call-up, because I definitely do think he deserves it. He's an absolutely phenomenal wrestler who has worked his butt off to get to where he is today. And so I would really love to see him, I don't know, potentially get called up. I think that would be super fun and special. But let's head into the main event of the night. We had a 6-woman tag team match, Fatal Influence versus Sol Ruca, Zarya, and Masha Slamovich. So this was also a really good match. Every woman performed so well and worked really well collectively, and I loved every spot and every moment that made this match truly what it was. It was a really fun match. But in the end, Masha Slamovich, Sol Ruca, and Zarya won. And something interesting that happened for the finish is that Masha Slamovich pinned JC Jane. So that kind of leads me to believe, that maybe JC Jane actually wins this at Slammiversary, which I don't know how I feel, because, with Trick being the TNA champion, I don't know kind of the vibes of having two NXT stars holding TNA gold. I feel like that's a little taboo in a way. And I don't know, I'm really curious to see what happens. I don't believe I'll be watching Slammiversary live, but I will keep up with it as much as possible. And I'm really intrigued to see who wins this match. But let's head into my overall thoughts. I thought it was a really solid show. My match of the night, hands down, was the Family Business Triple Threat match. I thought it was amazing, so entertaining, and they all put on a show with it. And if that was Tony D'Angelo's last match, well, it was a great one to go out with. And then my segment of the night was the opening segment with Fatal Influence, Sorruka and Zarya, and Masha Slamovich. It was a great setup for the main event and really has me excited for Slammiversary along with the main event. Overall, I'd rate the show about a 7.5 out of 10, so a little dip in ratings from last night's Monday Night Raw, but also you can't really compare because last night was like a night from heaven. It was amazing. But I just wanted to let you guys know also that this Friday I will be dropping a bonus episode. It's going to be a special edition of Champion the Passion, The Untold Stories. We are bringing it back. For those who don't know, The Untold Stories is my interview series where I dive deep into somebody's journey through professional wrestling. And so I'm going to be having a really fun conversation with a special somebody. The episode is dropping this Friday, July 18th, I believe. And tomorrow you can go check out on my social medias. I'll be dropping a teaser so you guys can see a little sneak peek of the interview, and I'm really excited about it. But thank you guys so much for watching and listening to this episode of Champion the Passion. Don't forget to leave a 5-star review if you enjoyed. Follow me at It's Victoria Daisy across all social platforms, and follow Champion the Passion across all streaming platforms. Don't forget to champion your passions and celebrate the joy in what you love, and I will see you guys in the next episode. Bye!